Sentinelese tribe. The Sentinelese live on North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal and are widely regarded as the most isolated people on Earth, having lived there for an estimated 60,000 years, with almost no contact with the outside world. First observed by British colonial explorers in 1771, yet consistently rejecting every attempt at communication, which means their language, social structure, and belief system remained completely unknown. Their population is believed to range between 50 and 200 individuals, though no one can confirm this due to India's strict no-contact laws, and they survive entirely as hunting wild pigs, catching fish, collecting shellfish, turtles, honey, coconuts, fruits, and forest roots, using bows, arrows, spears, and handmade tools, including metal recovered from shipwrecks that drift onto their shores. The Sentinelese wear very little clothing, usually just fiber belts, necklaces, and leaf ornaments, and often decorate their bodies with paint or jewelry made from shells and natural materials. While their religion has never been directly observed, anthropologists believe they follow a form of animism, meaning they believe the forest, sea, animals, and unseen spirits control their world and must be respected to survive. The Sentinelese are known to be extremely defensive and dangerous to outsiders, not out of cruelty, but because contact with modern people could bring diseases such as flu or measles that could wipe out their entire tribe, which is why they immediately attack anyone who comes near. This has led to several tragic incidents, including the deaths of 2 Indian fishermen in 2006, an American missionary John Allen Show in 2018, both of whom illegally approached the island. Because of this, the Indian government enforces a permanent no-go zone around North Sentinel Island, making it one of the last places on Earth where a human society continues to live exactly as it did thousands of years ago, untouched by modern civilization. Yanomami tribe. The Yanomami are one of the largest indigenous peoples, still living in relative isolation in the Amazon rainforest along the Brazil-Venezuela border, with their homeland forming one of the largest protected indigenous territories in the world, covering millions of hectares of dense forest that has been home to their ancestors for thousands of years. Yet sustained contact with outsiders only began in the 1940s, when Brazilian teams first entered their territory and inadvertently introduced deadly diseases such as measles and influenza, which decimated entire villages because the Yanomami lacked immunity to modern illnesses. Today, their population is estimated at around 35,000 to 40,000 people living in small villages called shubonos, large circular communal houses made from rainforest materials that can hold dozens to hundreds of people under a single roof. Their subsistence lifestyle combines slash-and-burn horticulture, where women cultivate cassava, bananas, maize, and other food crops, with hunting and gathering, supplemented by hunting monkeys, deer, tapirs, birds, armadillos, fish, grubs, and honey, while their intimate botanical knowledge allows them to use hundreds of plants for food, medicine, and tools, wearing minimal clothing in the hot rainforest and decorating themselves with feathers, flowers, beads, and body paint that reflect their deep connection to the land. Spiritually, the Yanomami practice shamanism, believing that every element of nature and forest life has a spirit, and their shamans use hallucinogenic snuff to communicate with helper spirits, called zapi, who are thought to influence health, weather, and life cycles. Their society is organized around egalitarian consensus, with no formal chiefs, and social bonds are reinforced through shared feasts and exchanges of food and labor. Tragically, their way of life has been severely threatened by illegal gold mining, which surged in their territory beginning in the 1970s and devastated the environment, poisoned rivers with mercury, spread malaria and other diseases, and caused displacement, malnutrition, and death, leading to one of the worst humanitarian crises in the Amazon that resulted in international news coverage, emergency government declarations, and campaigns to expel miners and clean up contaminated lands, while documented violent episodes such as the 1993 Aximu massacre, in which at least 16 Yanomami were killed by armed miners, demonstrate the brutality of these incursions. Despite these threats, including thousands of cases of malaria, mercury poisoning, malnutrition, and hundreds of deaths among children linked to environmental destruction and lack of medical care, the Yanomami remain resilient stewards of the rainforest, defending their territory, culture, and identity in the face of ongoing political and economic pressures that make headlines around the world. Korowai tribe. Korowai are an indigenous people living in one of the most remote and inaccessible jungle regions of Papua, Indonesia, deep within the tropical rainforests near the Beking and Island and river systems, and they remained completely unknown to the modern world until 1974, when Dutch missionaries made first peaceful contact, revealing a society of an estimated 3,000 to 4,000 people who had lived for generations in isolation, developing a unique way of life centered around towering tree houses, built as high as 30 to 40 meters above the forest floor to protect themselves from floods, insects, enemy clans, and what they believe are dangerous forest spirits. Their survival depends primarily on sago palm starch, which forms the foundation of their diet, along with wild pigs, cassowary birds, lizards, frogs, insects, grubs, and forest fruits, all gathered and hunted using traditional tools, and they prepare their food over open fires built inside their treehouse, a practice that seems impossible but has been perfected over centuries. The Korowai wear skirts made from tree bark and woven plant fibers, along with bone necklaces, tusks, and feather ornaments, and they decorate their bodies for ceremonies and important gatherings. Their spiritual worldview is deeply rooted in ancestor worship and belief in sorcery, particularly the fear of beings called kuku, which they believe are humans possessed by evil spirits that secretly cause illness, death, and misfortune. In the past, those accused of being kukua were executed, and in rare cases, ritual cannibalism was practiced as part of what they believed was necessary spiritual justice, making the Korowai one of the most feared tribes in Papua. While most of these extreme practices have largely faded after contact with the outside world, their forest-based lifestyle, towering homes, and deeply spiritual culture remain some of the most extraordinary and visually striking of any. Indigenous people alive today, Mashco-Piro, are one of the most isolated and mysterious indigenous tribes, still living in the Amazon rainforest of southeastern Peru, inhabiting the remote forests near the Madre de Dios and Ucayali river basins, where they have deliberately avoided the outside world for more than a century after suffering horrific violence during the Amazon rubber boom in the late 1800s, when rubber traders captured, enslaved, and murdered thousands of indigenous people, forcing the Mashco-Piro to flee deeper into the jungle to survive. Anthropologists believe their population ranges from several hundred to possibly over 1,000 people, but exact numbers are unknown because they refuse all contact. They live as nomadic hunter-gatherers, hunting monkeys, tapirs, birds, and fish, and gathering wild fruits, nuts, honey, and roots, using bows, arrows, and wooden tools made from forest materials, while wearing very little clothing, usually just plant fiber belts or leaf coverings, which helps them move easily through the dense rainforest. Their belief system is thought to be animistic, meaning they believe the forest, rivers, animals, and unseen spirits are alive and must be respected, and this spiritual connection to the land is one of the reasons they fiercely protect their territory. The Mashco-Piro are known to be extremely defensive and dangerous to outsiders, not because they are violent by nature, but because they have learned from history that contact brings death. This has led to several documented incidents, including arrow attacks on loggers, tourists, and nearby villagers between 2011 and 2023, as well as sightings of Mashco-Piro emerging from the forest to steal tools or food from river communities before retreating back into the jungle. In response, the Peruvian government created large protected no-contact zones around their territory and banned roads, tourism, and logging in these areas, because even a single cold or flu could wipe out their entire population due to their lack of immunity. Today, the Mashco-Piro remain one of the last truly uncontacted peoples on Earth, living hidden beneath the canopy of the Amazon, watching the modern world from a distance, determined to never again be enslaved or destroyed. Hadza tribe. The Hadza are one of the last remaining true hunter-gatherer societies in Africa, living around Lake Eyasi in northern Tanzania, where their ancestors have survived for over 40,000 years in one of the most ancient continuous human lifestyles on Earth. With a current population of around 1,300 people, first documented by European anthropologists in the early 1900s, yet still living largely as their ancestors did long before agriculture or cities existed. Their survival depends on an extraordinary knowledge of the land, as men hunt antelope, birds, and small animals using handmade bows and poison-tipped arrows, while women gather baobab fruit, berries, tubers, and wild greens, and together they collect large amounts of wild honey, which provides a major portion of their calories and plays a central role in their culture. The Hadza wear simple cloth wraps or animal skins, live in temporary grass and branch shelters that are moved as food sources shift, and they own very few personal possessions, reflecting a culture based on sharing rather than wealth. Their spiritual beliefs are deeply connected to nature, especially the sun, animals, and the land, which they believe provide life and balance, and they have no formal priests or rigid religious hierarchy. The Hadza are known for being peaceful, cooperative, and highly egalitarian, with little social inequality or organized violence. But their greatest danger today comes from outside forces, including land seizures by farmers, cattle herders, and tourism developers, which threaten to destroy the ecosystems they rely on, leading to international efforts to protect their territory as one of the last living examples of humanity's ancient way of life. Jarawa tribe. The Jarawa are an indigenous hunter-gatherer tribe living in the dense tropical forests of the Andaman Islands in India, with a population of approximately 400 to 450 people, whose ancestors have lived on these islands for over 50,000 years, making them among the oldest surviving human populations on Earth, first encountered by British colonial forces in the 19th century. Though for more than 100 years they fiercely resisted outside contact, attacking settlers, loggers, and patrols who entered their land, until peaceful relations were finally established in 1998. Marking a major turning point in their history. The Jarawa survived by hunting wild pigs with bows and arrows, fishing with spears, and gathering fruit, honey, tubers, and roots, and they moved through the forest with remarkable skill, using detailed environmental knowledge passed down through generations. They wear simple leaf skirts, fiber belts, and natural ornaments, and sometimes paint their bodies with clay or plant-based dyes. Their belief system is animistic, meaning they see the forest, animals, rivers, and spirits as sacred and deeply interconnected, which is why they treat their land as something to be protected, rather than owned, although once considered dangerous due to their defensive attacks. The Jarawa today are more peaceful, but they face serious modern threats from illegal tourism, road construction, poaching, and disease, particularly because exposure to common illnesses like measles or flu can be deadly for them. News reports have documented disturbing cases of human safaris, where tourists illegally stopped vehicles to photograph and even feed the Jarawa, leading to global outrage and stronger protections from the Indian government, which now enforces laws to limit contact and preserve their way of life, making the Jarawa one of the most vulnerable and closely monitored indigenous communities in India today. Vadoma tribe. The Vadoma tribe, also known as the Vadoma, is a small and highly isolated indigenous community living in northern Zimbabwe near the border of Zambia and Mozambique. They inhabit a remote region affected by political tension and limited infrastructure, which has kept them largely cut off from the outside world. Because of this isolation and past negative encounters with outsiders, the Vadoma are known to be extremely shy and cautious, often hiding in the bush when unfamiliar people approach. The Vadoma are widely known for a rare genetic condition found within their community, in which many members are born with only 2 toes on each foot. Instead of the usual 5 toes, the middle toes are absent, leaving 2 larger outer toes that resemble a lobster's claw. Approximately 1 in 4 children in the tribe is born with this condition. The trait has persisted due to generations of marriage within the tribe, which has limited genetic diversity. While outsiders often view the condition as a disability, the Vadoma believe it is God-given and reject claims that it is caused by witchcraft. This physical difference creates daily challenges. Many people with 2 toes struggle to find shoes, experience pain when walking long distances, and face difficulties attending school or traveling regularly. Despite this, some individuals are still able to perform activities such as playing soccer, showing resilience and adaptability. Children with the condition are often late to school because walking long distances is exhausting, highlighting the lack of basic support systems in the area. Secret tribe in Asia, hidden deep in the highlands of Papua New Guinea, accessible only by plane and local travel from Port Moresby. The Huli tribe, numbering about 250,000 people and inhabiting the region for over 600 years, maintains one of the world's most striking cultural identities. Huli boys leave their mothers at around age 4 to live in men's houses, and later, at 14, attend secret wig schools near creeks where hair is grown, shaped with bamboo into mushroom forms, and eventually cut into wigs after up to 6 years, often decorated with bird feathers and worn for life or sold. Daily survival centers on food like marita fruit, a seasonal staple available from October to March, boiled and hand-squeezed to extract a thick, oily red paste that stains the skin. While during shortages, the community eats cow sweet potato up to 3 times daily. Deep gender separation defines Huli life. Men and women live, eat, and gather separately, even when married, with men handling hunting and construction, and women tending gardens, raising pigs, and caring for children. Widows face extreme vulnerability, often surviving only on sweet potatoes, and follow a 1-year mourning ritual involving white clay on the face, netted garments, grass skirts, and seed necklaces, removing 1 seed each day. The cultural centerpiece is the mumu, an ancient earth-oven feast where a 100-pound-plus pig is dehead by fire, butchered with bamboo tools, and buried with hot stones. Banana leaves, ferns, sweet potatoes, greens, and bananas for 1 to 2 hours, with food divided by gender, men receiving ribs and liver, women eating blood and intestines cooked inside bamboo tubes, showcasing a tradition rooted not just in food, but in communal labor, hierarchy, and survival, where even rain cannot stop the sharing of meat and the celebration of unity. Shark-toothed tribe. The Baka people of Cameroon live in the heart of Africa's largest jungle, the Green Heart of Africa, as one of the most discriminated tribes on the continent, often forced from their jungle homes into reservations and mistreated by other tribes. Yet they maintain their warmth and ancient traditions. These hunter-gatherers navigate barefoot through the jungle's danger-stinging ants, venomous caterpillars, spined plants, and mud-filled rivers, using handmade tools like old wood axes with metal blades to survive. They hunt jungle rats by smoking out burrows and setting traps, fish by damming rivers and draining pools, and gather honey by climbing jungle vines without any safety equipment to reach hives in the canopy, all while maintaining an unbreakable connection to the forest that defines their entire identity and culture. The Baka worship Gengi, an omnipresent forest spirit, an ancestor who visits them when things are in harmony, and they honor successful hunts through the Luma ceremony in Shen songs, dances, and rituals that thank Gengi for their provisions. Their medicine man, Nganga, possesses profound knowledge of which plants heal and which hurt, crafting traditional remedies and bandages from medicinal bark and forest resources that have been used for thousands of years. The Baka practice tooth sharpening as a sacred rite of passage and form of beauty, carving and chipping teeth into sharp points to enhance spiritual power, help eat tough jungle meat, and connect with ancestral spirits. They build homes from wicker frames made entirely of bendable twigs and trees, with no rope, nails, or plastic, covered with jungle leaves, and featuring outside fires to keep bugs away. The Baka don't use clocks or money. Instead, they live by the sun's rhythm, rising when it rises and sleeping when it sets. With parties and celebrations in between, they cook in leaf packages over fires, using no plastic and letting nature provide. And their entire way of life represents an authentic, thousands of years old tribal existence that remains one of the most genuine and joyful cultures on earth, full of music, dancing, and a spirit that welcomes outsiders with open hearts, despite centuries of discrimination.